Hey, everybody. Welcome to Coach Jan. This is Tai Chi to the People. I'm joined here by Sam, who's out in the Philippines. And Sam had a great question. He wanted to expand more on the throat breathing, the sound, the kind of growling that I picked up from Grandmaster William C.C. Chen and his top student and my coach, Josh Waitskin, as part of catalyzing the adrenaline production in the body. So I thought it was very, very interesting. And I don't know, to be completely transparent, I do not know the science behind growling. I remember talking to Josh about how in wolves the growling would essentially help to get them ready for a fight. And I am aware of, there are many different processes that we have to get us ready for an event, a moment, a life moment, an experience that needs to be done in a given period of time. Like, you get yourself ready somehow, some way. And if growling is it, that's great. What I found very, very helpful, and this is me coming from let's say a Tai Chi background, Kung Fu family background, and appreciating the softness, but also recognizing that you have to make that water crash, as Bruce Lee would say. So water can be soft or it can crash. And so that kind of growling is very, very helpful for me. And even doing it just once, just now while I'm talking to you, I feel way more ready. But I've also trained myself to feel ready in that sense. We can condition ourselves, Pavlovian effect kind of thing. Like, we can condition ourselves to respond to different stimuli. So again, me not necessarily knowing the exact science behind the growling, the intention was to do the growling. If you're doing push hands, you're getting ready, you're about to do a freestyle grappling. Grandmaster William C.C. Chen, his school was known for, he was known as a fighter. And the school was known to be producing like some of the best fighters, especially Tai Chi fighters, quote unquote. And there's a story that you should talk to Grandmaster Chen about Bruce Lee coming to challenge Chen Manching, and Chen Manching, Grandmaster Chen stepping up and saying, "No, fight me instead," and Bruce Lee saying no to that. I'm not saying that Bruce was afraid of him. No, I'm definitely not saying that. I think Bruce was, if this story is as true as I believe it is, I believe that fighting the top students, the master's top student, can be considered a lesser experience, and therefore Bruce would potentially turn away from that, turn down that option. So anyway, so yes, that was Sam's question on the growling. And so the growling, just so once again, so everyone to understand how to do it, you're engaging the goblet. You're engaging this area, and you're essentially taking your throat and kind of growling, gargling. The breath is right here, right into the Adam's apple area, and the intention to focus. My visualization when I do this is I almost see the blue light in this area. This is supposed to be like the blue chakra. If you do yoga, I almost see the blue kind of pushing down to the muscles and the veins, and I watch it wash through my body, and really just starting getting myself gentle flexes, but definitely flexes. I don't want to hold the tension, meaning that when I flex to get myself amped and ready for a martial experience, I do not hold the flex, because that's holding unnecessary tension. And remember, when you hold unnecessary tension, it's a cost. You're paying as if you keep on a light all night and you're paying your electricity bill. So that's what unnecessary tension is at all times in the body, is you paying a cost for it, because you have to cost energy to hold that tension. So you want to minimize the tension to maximize and optimize. Maximize your energy, optimize your performance. So, but when I'm doing the growling, I'll push the color through, and I'll flex gently here in the pectoral muscles and the shoulders and the biceps. I'll start to squeeze, little gentle but explosive flexes, and I'll release. And I'm also very much focused on what we call flash relaxations. The flash relaxation is the ability to, as quickly as possible, relax a particular area of your body. And you train flash relaxations, you train that skill by focusing on the breath work and visualization. So one of the first places to start training that skill is in gilded pillar, where your palms are facing down, imaginary string lifting from the top of the head, tailbone down, and you're getting your body in the alignment first and foremost, and then looking for any unnecessary tension. That's why you go through this as you get into the alignment, you start going through what's called the inventory. You look at the knees and you soften the knees, because if the knees are locked and straight, you give a slight bend. As you give that slight bend, you shift the weight to the heels. When you shift the weight to the heels, it helps you drop the tailbone. When you drop the tailbone, you're softening the lower back, because otherwise you have the butt sticking out of it. So you want to drop it down, which is again very different than a tuck. A tuck is going to cost you tension in the groin area. So you just drop the tailbone straight down as if you have a weight on it. So you're just doing your best to minimize that tension, including dropping the shoulder blades as if they're falling straight down as well. So you have this drop all the way down. Notice that shoulder blade will lift the chest slightly, but you only want to lift it slightly because you want to keep the what Grandmaster Chen calls the 5% compression in the chest, meaning that if the chest is out, you just drop the collarbone. Slight compression. Now, there are people, the Tai Chi practitioners, that believe that the heart should float. The heart should float, and that's beautiful. I think that's a really interesting concept as well. Again, I'm sharing this from the perspective of having competed, coached, and won, and using very particular body mechanics. So that it is not the only path, but I'm sharing the path that has worked for me in the past. And I'm always evolving this path. So flash relaxation, meaning, again, when you go, and you might flex the arm, and then you can even shake it out if you need to. That flash relaxation is you pushing the color visualization into an area and releasing the tension. The color visualization is woven with intent, the intention to melt away tension. And your attention is what directs it. So you inhale, you train that color visualization, push it into the muscle, soften out, soften out, soften out. Really, really important stuff, super important. And I might have Zoe joining us today. I'm not sure. I thought she would join us. But I don't know. I don't know where Zoe is. I thought Zoe was going to come in person and we were going to do some sparring and stuff. So, and we're actually going to doing some. I'm going to focus on the 4 push hands again today. Now the 4 push Wu style push hands drill. It's not 4 push. 4 move. The 4 move Wu style push hands drill. And I'm going to focus on doing it solo today. And the reason I'm going to focus on this today is because I put out a video last week with Zoe. And it was very late at night, and people have asked me to reshoot the video, which I was going to do today, which is obviously not happening. But the concept is that there are variations to how to handle a palm on your chest in that set. So if you remember, that set starts like this. You have your weight on your back leg and the other foot forward. So the toe is up and the heel touches the ground. This is the Wu style stance. This leg, notice that my knee and toe is forward as well. So I'm not 45 degrees. I'm not out, yang style. I'm straight. And notice that what that does. When you shift back and forward, when you shift from your A stance, your A frame stance from Wu style, straight line from the top of the head to the heel, and back to the leg, notice that the hips are moving on a diagonal line. Notice that the hips are not going just back and forth. Notice that you're going diagonally back and forth. And when you go back and forth, remember that the color visualization and the pulley system, remember the pulley system is the concept of strings pulling you, motivated by your breath. And the color visualization system is the breath as a color pushing through limbs and pulling back into limbs. Both of these systems of visualization should be operating at the same time. And you have to train one, train the other, and then bring them together. That is on the individual practitioner. So when you exhale, push that color from the belly down the back leg and into the front leg through a limb potentially. So it splits. When you inhale, the color, the pulley system pulls you back. So in other words, it's as if I feel a string pulling my navel back, and I sit on this back leg. Exhale, pushing down one leg and the other, pushing in two directions, color visualization. 70% of my weight on this front leg. Inhale, breath pulls me back. So always remember that heel, this anchored heel, the breath is pulling you back by the navel and into the heel down. So it's like a pull in, lock down. Feel that lock. Should be able to lift that front leg. So that side to side, that diagonal, just getting a little bit of a detail here. Notice when you pull back, exhale coming forward, notice that back hip softens into the front groin. That's what's going to give you the torque on the punch, that extra drop, that extra lock into that front leg. So you do want to lock into that front leg for extra stability and strength. Boom. Now, there are people who are very strong, especially if they're just heavier. Heavier people, more muscle, all of that does matter to an extent, but only to an extent, meaning that if you have a lot of muscle mass and don't necessarily know how to use it, you might be more challenging to someone who has less muscle mass, but if they really know how to manipulate pressure, they might be able to get the best of you. They also might not, because sometimes weight does matter. So just really soften into this groin. And when I pull back, it's not that I unwind. I pull straight back, and the unwinding happens while I'm being pulled back by the breath, by that string. And this diagonal energy is going to be super important for you to use to cut off space, to remember that the angles, every little angle matters, because all the angles, all the little small circles add up. They all add to the centrifugal force and the direction of force, etc. So you just want to be super aware. Now, it can be different if you have your back leg out 45 degrees. If you want to compare that, just notice that it changes how the hips feel much more open. But then that's part of the point. The point is that when you create more of a spring function in the hips and in the body, you can unleash that spring-like power in different directions. So I find, it's not so much that I find, having your back leg straight forward is more difficult. You will build more strength. Doesn't necessarily mean that you should compete that way. You want to be able to take that strength and bring it into a young stance or a boxing stance. You want to be able to take all of that and bring it right into these more common stances, but you want to train yourself to do it in a way that's going to build you the most strength. So now, the 4-move push hands. Keeping everything that we just talked about in mind, exhaling, pushing forward. Now, when I push forward, remember, for the diagonal, I'm pushing forward with the diagonal hips in mind. So you can do this in multiple directions, meaning that I might push this way on the first one and come across, or I might push this way on my first move and come across. So you should practice all of those ways with your partner, which is why this is one of the most dynamic push hands drills ever. So we're going to do this pushing toward the side, the leg that's forward first. Exhaling 1, and now 2. This is the drill hand. Drill hand. And then 1 pulling across, and even deeper inhalation. Exhale, pushing forward, 1. And then push 2. Notice the drill of the elbow and the hip, the waist all moving in tandem. The elbow drops. And this is a press to the chest. This is what we're going to be focusing on today. We're going to be focusing on ways to redirect that. And then I'll add the video with me and Zoe. It's already on my YouTube and TikTok accounts but I will add a reshot version. So push 1, push 2, and brush. Remember, this brushing hand is to go against the belly of your partner. So as your partner sits, it's to remind them to sit. And then 1, and then 2. Exhale, push 1. Exhale, push 2. Inhale, 1. Inhale, 2. Exhale, push 1. Exhale, push 2. Inhale, 1. Inhale, 2. Now, remember, when you're receiving, this is actually live. It's going to feel more like this. When I do it in this form, and over time, it starts to, the angle starts to shift, the precision starts to wane, and it becomes more real, more live. But when you first start, you'll probably have your partner push on what looks like a ward off. So you're going to create this structure for your partner. They're going to push on it, and you're going to have this other hand receiving. That means that this push that we do first, that we did first today, is when you're on the receiving end, you're going to take it on this forearm. You're going to redirect 1 to one side. And then you're going to redirect the drilling hand next. I'm getting brushed and I'm getting a drill on my chest. Again, how this will look when you're with a partner is that rather than this hand looking like a 7-star play guitar position, this hand, inside hand, will actually be up, almost like Omi Tofo, as if you're a Shaolin monk. This hand will be taking the drilling palm and removing it from the chest. Now, that's what I want to talk about today mostly. So this is the second one. Now we're going to go. So now we're doing a more realistic live version. So notice that my 7-star play guitar position has now become more of an L shape. L shape. L shape for the arms. So I take it, this other hand is always aiming for the elbow of your opponent. It's one of the most important things you can train in this drill set, is aiming right for the elbow. Now look at this. The second that I turn the pressure off, the opponent's winding up, and this hand shoots to the other elbow. Now you don't have to grab the elbow, but it shoots to the airspace of the other elbow. Meaning if the other elbow is right here and my hand is here, I'm not going to reach for it. I'm going to wait for that elbow to come to me. That's one of the most important things that you can do in any live martial grappling experience or experience at all. If you are aiming to control elbows, to be able to let the elbows come to you and stick to them the second that they come. So you want to be able to be very aware of the direction of the elbow. And this is the exercise that's going to get you that awareness more than any other, I guarantee it. So you redirect 1, and then 2, it shoots right to the airspace. You're right here. And this one, Omi Tofo up. So now we're getting very realistic here. Redirect, and you're taking the pressure on the chest, the other hand on the elbow. You guide that single arm away. The other brushing arm is just reminding you to sink and sit. And now look, your hands become that push again, that first push. You just redirect it off, and now you have that first push. And now it looks a lot more realistic. The angle, the diagonal that we started talking about at the beginning, you're really using that. You're really using that. When you change directions and you push the other direction, you're going to use it differently, meaning that you're going to have the spiral pressure coming in and coming over. We'll talk about that in a second. Here, still on the first version, palm press, that's the key move for today. Ward off at the elbow, Omi Tofo and the elbow. Press across, drill. Ward off and the elbow, Omi Tofo and the elbow. I'm only moving fast for demonstration purposes. You're doing this at a slower speed so that you can speed up your perception. You want to move at a slower pace and really get all the different variations of the angles you could use here. When you're doing this with your partner, make sure to press low sometimes, press high sometimes, redirect them, and do your best to put little spinning motions on these angles. you want to really experiment. This is such a safe space to play with and to learn all about all the directions that the human body can move in. And this is what's going to build, from my experience, the most confidence in having grappling scenarios, playing in grappling scenarios. So again, we have made adjustments from how we started. We've made the adjustment of the L shape rather than the play guitar position, the L shape here, and then the prayer Shaolin monk position here, and of course aiming for the airspace of the elbow. So when you do that brush, it comes right up to the airspace of the elbow, and you come back. And this hand, ward off, boom. And then back. So now, let's just talk about the variation before I talk about the three types of palm redirects you can do, which again, I will do a more dynamic version with Zoe. So let's start from this first push, but do it as if we had opposite legs. Now you can switch legs. As a matter of fact, switching legs, let's switch legs. We haven't switched legs. And switching legs, let's keep the same direction, because that is as if we switched hands. So pushing, drill, 1, 2. So that legs have changed, but the hands have remained the same. So feel how different this is to push forward, to push in the opposite direction of the leg. Rather than pushing toward the leg as we were doing here, now we're pushing the opposite direction. This is one of the most important concepts that we can talk about in push hands. And there's lots of important things. But why it's so important is because look at how the hips go back. This back hip is turning to help me get this forward position. Again, if I'm pushing this way, notice that this hip goes back. Now, it doesn't have to, but why am I pushing that hip back? Well, what's happening is I'm actually pushing the front hip forward. And as I'm pushing the front hip forward, the back side of the hip turns out naturally. So if you're only thinking about that little swivel, or maybe you're not thinking about it at all, you're going to miss a bunch of amazing things that are happening here. And this is what I like to call the holes. So you want to look for holes in your opponent to roll them over holes. You also want to create holes to roll them into, and you want to be aware of when you're creating a hole on yourself, because if you're aware of it and your opponent's not aware of it, that's fine. But if they are aware of it and you're not, that sucks for you. So here I'm creating a hole. I'm pushing the opponent, rolling them over this hole that I'm creating. One of the refutations for this exercise is for an opponent, if we were doing freestyle, to come right around my arm and flip me and turn me from this angle, to go with this hip going back, to turn my body and make me step, or to potentially even throw me, which sucks. So when it's good, it builds character if it happens to you. So the important thing here is to be aware of how much you can protect yourself while creating that hole. So let's talk about this, because now we feel a little more exposed as we're pressing into this area where we have no foot. So that means that your root here has to be that much more emphasized as you push here. So you have to be able to split your attention. That's why the visualization from the beginning is so important. When you exhale and you're splitting the back heel and the front leg, it's going to become even more in handy here. Exhaling, I'm still splitting, but now I'm going down the leg, down this leg, and through the hands. I want the emphasis of my alignment with the toe and the knee. Notice that my knee is not going in this direction. My knee is not pushing that way. Look at my knee. It's over here. It's staying aligned with the knee of the toe. So my toe is right here. My knee is right above it. And I'm pushing here. This is going to protect your knee. I'm actually going to drop the camera a little bit so you can see what I mean. So I'm pushing in this direction. Now look at my knee and the toe. Toe, knee, and nose oftentimes is the alignment. Toe, knee, nose. But a lot of times people might push, or they might push the knee in that direction of the pressure that they want to give. And that is going to wreak havoc on the kneecap. That is why you want to be so cautious and so aware of how you're placing the knee. And one way to help you think about that is to think about your thighs and your knees as blades. Now, the reason we're not going to talk too much about that is because that's caging. We've talked about caging in the past. Caging, just to introduce this concept a little bit for the purpose of this conversation, your alignment. Caging is when you step through someone's stance. You're stepping through their stance to cage off their legs. And sometimes you're cutting through the stance as if your legs, your thighs, and your shins have blades on them. And your opponent will likely step. They'll likely move, or you'll disrupt their stance. It's really, really important to do the Neigong so that your caging feels like a truck moving in on your partner or opponent. So you are partially training your ability to do caging with this alignment. If you do not do this alignment, if you start to twist the hip and the knee in this direction, again, just look at the hole I'm creating here. You can see it on video. So look, right there, you can see the hole I'm creating. So make sure, again, my recommendation to keep this knee, this groin, is emphasizing you're softening the groin here, and then you're spinning it out. And as I spin it out, I'm still pushing the knee over the big toe, and with an emphasis on the ball of the foot and the heel. So right there. Okay, so that's just a really important note. And it's such a subtle moment that people might miss. And these subtle moments are the things that really differentiate push hands players, like the casual players from the folks who are really, really focusing on doing this, not only on a daily basis, but doing this on a level that can translate to other martial arts. It's these little details that are going to help you expand your capacity to dominate space, to claim space. So 1, and then 2, and then over, and then over. So we're doing the same thing. 1, look at that. Knee forward. 2, press. Remember the palm and the brush. Ward off, elbow. 1, omitofo, and elbow. 2. Push. Push 2, omitofo. That was actually a ward off. Push 1, 2, this is the brush and the drilling palm, ward off 1, ward off 2. So again, the biggest difference here is how you start that push. But notice that that push is going to wind you up when you do it well enough to keep yourself protected, meaning all those little notes I just gave, you're protecting yourself. That's really what's happening most here. You want to put yourself in a position to not overextend. If you were to lean too much in this area where you have no foot right here, then you are setting yourself up to be pulled in that position, potentially sucked into that position or dropped into that position. So you adjust yourself so that doesn't happen. Now, notice that adjustment actually sets you up for the next move quite nicely. So you're here and you feel that wind up. You're here, and the wind up is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit different than if we had the legs switched and you feel the torso all wrapped up and then you just unwind. That's so nice. Here it's a bit different. And the cool thing about it is how you can really emphasize this lead hip and the drop of this lead hip. The drop of this lead hip really is as if you're pulling, if you're doing Muay Thai and you're doing a clinch, and you're sucking the opponent in. You have the hands behind the neck. You're pulling the head and butterfly position. You're sucking them down. You really want to feel that drop and all that pressure go down. But we're doing it. That was an overt version of this exact move. Here, you want to feel that drop happening. It's all the same type of relaxing, spiraling, relaxing, going down the leg. And the elbow agrees with the hip and the waist, and the kneecap is aligned. It stays aligned. Look how there's minimal movement in my kneecap. Look at that. Minimal movement in my kneecap. So I'm here, boom, and I go right in. So the legs stay very stationary here. Now that I'm not saying that you should be aware of cycling between ball of the foot and the suction, that suction bridge area between your heel and the ball of the foot. You want to be able to have that. Grandmaster Chen talks about it as a suction cup. And so I do recommend some awareness on softening that suction cup sensation on the foot here. So if I'm pushed in this posture right here, ball of the foot, heel, emphasis, big toe, and then I drop into that suction cup of the foot. That's a very particular detail. You don't need to put too much emphasis on that. But play this back if it's helpful for you. So here, the more overt pressure drop is softening that hip. Elbow, wind up. Let gravity drop the elbow. Let that same sense of gravity wash down the abs into the hips and let it drop you. And as you exhale, you're pushing that color visualization from the belly through the palm and drill. Really feel. And now you can do this, again, play this video back and switch your legs. I highly recommend doing that for this, because we don't need to do all the legs to go over the same concepts. And I will say that there is a 3-push version of this and 3 rollback version of this. So that is considered the more advanced level. The more advanced level is, and I'll make a dedicated video for that, but the more advanced level is push 1, push 2, push 3. And the 3 is going to drill up. It's going to be a rolling snake-like drill. And then you're going to roll back 1, roll back 2, roll back 3. Oftentimes you'll roll back up on that third, meaning that the third rollback might actually look more like praying mantis. And you'll roll up here and then do the push 1, 2, 3. And that third one is still a drilling palm, but the angle is such that the drilling palm goes upward. So the drilling palm becomes a drilling arm and you're drilling up. So that's just a little sneak for another video that we will do. But again, I don't recommend doing that too early on. And the reason I don't recommend doing that is because you really want to, rather than doing more, you want to do less more effectively. And so the 2 push and two redirect, there's so much in here. And that final push, when you do add that, is really adding a layer to your whole push hands game, your mindset, the mindset of I'm playing, and no matter what, I'm staying anchored into this back leg and here, and I can still drop my upper body weight into my partner through my arms, whatever limb is touching, and still pull them back. And so it is a more advanced posture because of the amount of weight that you're drilling onto your partner. And I recommend getting used to this motion first, because you can spend years just on these motions. But when you're ready and you feel ready, go for it and add that third one. And here's how the third one looks if you switch the legs and we kept. Remember, you can switch arm direction and leg direction. You should do both. So you'll get all the different angles worked into the body. So now let's back to our original version. I had my left leg forward first. So here we go. And now we're going to add that third push. So 1, 2, and notice that the third push with the original leg forward is going to look like another drill, another palm. It's going to look more like another palm. But you want to really extend on that third one, meaning that you want to not just drill the palm, but you want to drive through and look at this extension all the way through my heel, my fingertips to my heel, full extension. And my waist is really working. When you do these exercises, you want to make sure, this push hands exercise, you want to make sure that you're also doing sleeping tiger rolls over. This Growling exercise. So I have, I think, several videos talking about this exercise, and I'll continually looking to refine and level up the production value so that I can go into the even greater detail. But just remember this exercise, and remember how the detail. I'm not just moving my arms. Everything is coordinated with the breath. The hips and the waist, pushing the hip forward. This is emphasizing more hip than usual in the Wu style in terms of some of the Growling. So really pushing the hip. So when I reach, I'm reaching with the fingers, and the hip is a little more emphasized. And remember that when I push out, push it to the side rather than back here. And see from the front. I'm actually going to switch legs just to. And the breathing is up to you. It should be coordinated though. So it's not free breathing. I'm free breathing to an extent because I'm talking right now. But the breathing should be, I inhale up at best, exhale down, inhale up, exhale down, inhale up. And sometimes I'll do a little bit differently. Maybe I'll go exhalation on one, inhalation on another. And there's all these variations. Right now, I'm keeping my nose and my head very still, so the body's moving around it. Then I might release the head and let it go. And then I might release the hip a little bit more and really wash with the body and really get that movement. And then, of course, there's at least 5 variations of this one exercise. And I have seen people do versions where they're standing up high and they're doing this, and that's nice. It does not seem. Do these for the specific benefits. I will say that the specific benefits of being able to bring this technique into your 6 movement Wu style push hands drill rather than the 4. So once you level up that 4 to 6, 1, 2, 3, boom, right there, dropping the weight wherever you're touching the partner. You might be touching the partner on the wrist, on the forearm. You're probably going to have 2 points of contact at least, maybe elbow and wrist. And you're dropping, and you're really doing your best to feel all these points on your opponent's body. This is me moving with the contours of an imaginary person here. And you want to be able to boom, to take that connection and just be able to move the opponent. So just really, really important stuff. With that said, Sam, any ideas, questions, thoughts?
For the, I have okay. Can you expound or explain more of this? The backhand, for example, pushing here, the 2 hands, it's like this one.
Okay, are you talking about for the 6 move or for the 4 move?
For the 4 move, or for the 6, maybe this one. We can explain for this one. The third push. You said flipping here on the armpit.
Okay, sure. No, great question. Okay, so again, I will make a more dedicated video because I've literally never talked about that on any of these videos. I might have done it once with my dad on video, but I don't think so. So let's see. 1, 2, and 3. So the 3 is going to be a second drill push. So it's as if you're doing this twice. But the reason, the 3rd one, since you have this wonderful agreement with your partner that you're doing a 3rd move and the other partner is doing a 3rd move, you can experiment with unique ways to distribute your weight into your opponent's body and hips. So that's really where the value comes in when you do this other brush knee. Because remember, it's essentially a brush knee. But you're doing this 3rd brush knee and you're turning it into this driving force here. Now, this backhand is likely going to have brushed the belly of your partner. And so what I'm doing with this hand is likely just counterbalancing my structure. I'm likely not doing too much with this hand. I'm counterbalancing my structure And again, it's really meant as a means for you to, and your partner, to find new ways of dropping weight into your opponent at very flexible angles, unique and flexible angles. So, and if I was doing it with my other leg forward, let's say 1, 2, 3, drill, same idea. Same idea. The elbow here, if I switch my legs, and now this is my third push, so now I have my same lead hand and lead foot forward. Notice that I still get this drop, and these drops help. Again, they're you know, when you're playing push hands, the application, like once you get the core mechanics down, you apply them at different angles and in different techniques overtly. They look different, but the mechanics are very similar. So you might be playing with an opponent, and you might do a diagonal flying, and you still have that same posture of diagonal flying. You have your cage leg here, you're putting them over the cage leg. And if you were doing diagonal flying, this palm is actually hitting a wrist, and this other hand is underneath an elbow going across their chest. So you have this wrist, elbow, the opponent's body is right here. Your thigh is cutting off their thigh, and you turn them over the thigh. So it's a different, obviously drill. It's a different application of the same posture. And sometimes you might do pat the high horse, as here we are. And so pat the high horse looks like another variation of diagonal flying. You know, so all these things that as long as you're getting that sensitivity, you can move the body in the way that you want to move it. What this third push really represents is an opportunity to train you in a unique way, because you may not have that opportunity often to drop that elbow at this angle on a person. And really drilling, diving down, using this other hand. You don't want it to be dead weight, and you don't want to reach behind you, because that puts you in an unsafe position martially. So you just have these fingers out, and the partner is fingers out and ready to help counterbalance you. Boom. And you might want to consider guarding the lower gate. You might be ready to grab an elbow, but you should be getting ready to grab an elbow. Like drill, and this hand, the second you push back, remember this hand is going to become the ward-off hand. Boom, right here. So from here, they've redirected you. They're going to push that arm back. This hand right here is going to go right to that elbow. So I often set up for my defense. So I'm very happy you asked this question. I often set up my defense from that last offensive move. So I'm 1, 2, 3. And now right here, I'm ready. 1, elbow, 2, elbow, only elbow, 3. And this third one, it might happen here with the drill here. More than likely, you'll have to connect the hip and this elbow and do your praying mantis style redirection. So let's finish this up today with the praying mantis. Let's add the praying mantis redirection. So we did 3 pushes, and now we're going to add that third redirect. So here we go. Let me just expand the camera for this. Hold on. All right, here we go, guys. So push 1, push 2, push 3, drilling, and expand up. This hand is already ready in the airspace of the elbow. Boom, 1. No, the pushing hand, arm becomes the ward off. 1, 2, the omitofo, and redirecting. And now 3, we're going to do a praying mantis style lift. Now, you can aim for the elbow, but even aiming for the elbow, you're going to turn this up. Now the forearm to your elbow is in this version is going to connect to your opponent's elbow. So this third push means close quarters, because you use the first push to get in. The second push drills at mid-range. The first push is long range. The second push is mid-range. The third push is close range. Super important differentiation. So let me just clean the screen a little bit. There we go. First push, long range, meaning I'm using the length of my arm. Second push, I've gotten inside the opponent. I'm playing at this mid-range. Mid-range is normally where you might throw body shots but still keep your body back a bit. And that close range is where you're going to be using shoulders and using like the other limbs. So that close range here, you're already in, it's going to get very tight, and then you're going to pull back 1, 2, don't tofu, and 3, this very tight elbow pulling up and hip. And you can redirect the posture here. You can have your omitofo here if you want, and you're going to redirect. And then from here, push. So the hands come up, and then they just extend to long range. 1, mid range 2, close range 3, and drill, dropping. Now it might seem that you're long range because of how extended you are, but your opponent's body is going to be really, really close. So you're going to find that you are dropping the elbow on them, the forearm, the elbow. You're going to slide this arm as long as you can. You want the flexibility. Your opponent, it's a gift for them to be able to take that pressure for a long period of time, roll it up, and then throw that pressure back at you. 1, 2, and 3. Drill, 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 and then 1, 2, and 3. Praying mantis up. And then long push, 1, mid push, 2, 3. And just remember how it really feels when you're playing with arms, when you're getting closer and closer to the opponent. They're getting more tired as each second. It costs energy to do this. So the muscles, even if they're strong, you start chipping away their ability to hold the distance. Now you can play variations of the 4 push or the 6, the 4 move or the 6 move push hands, and you can say, okay, everything I'm going to do is going to be at long range. You can play with range that way. You can totally do that. 1, 2, 3, and then 1. You can intentionally keep long range. That is a very important game to play. To be super intentional in ranges. You might want to keep everything close range, which means that your first push will be very tight. The second push will be tight. The third push will be tight. And so play with ranges, feel how that changes the experience. And it's going to help prepare the body and the mind for doing the freestyle. Because again, the freestyle, you really want to be able to move your partner. Even the move I just did just now, this is not a very Tai Chi move at times. And what I mean by that is that it's not obviously a Tai Chi move. There are folks who might say, "Oh, okay, look, you're pulling the shoulder back. That's not Tai Chi," or you're using your chest, or there's so many people who might have a different perspective. But again, what we're really doing is slowing ourselves down to speed up our perception and optimize the body and the use of it. I do recommend being able to get into these positions where you can use all this stuff. And so please, Sam, did I answer that question? Okay, great. Let's stretch
Can
out.
I add? Okay.
Oh, hold on.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Yeah. While I'm in the Wu class, my senior would do this one.
Nice.
When you push, they can do this one.
That's great.
So it's like yielding. When you push
Yep.
the yield. We also do this one, like something like that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
No, so it's super important. It's super important to like, there are drills where we'll push just shoulders and push hips. I learned that out of the Yang style, out of William Chen school, is part of how we'll warm up for a push hands competition. Is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you go back and forth with you and your partner, and you're just touching and you're softening the body, softening here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and these are great exercises. And I like the way you were showing it too. This wonderful, and I think it's very, very important stuff. And my what I like to always remind, from my experience in Wu style, the lower dantian, and this permeates all styles now, but it became from my Wu style training, that lower dantian, that color visualization there, and looking at this as the engine of the body, is super helpful at bringing you back to this, always bringing you back to a lower center of gravity. So some of the players that I met at Grandmaster Chen's, they didn't have that breath work visualization. They had the body mechanic. Their body mechanics were excellent, but their concept of the visualization was very broad, meaning that they were visualizing the chi, and it feels amazing to do this. They're visualizing the chi filling up and releasing, filling up and releasing, filling up, and they would direct their attention with the fingertips. But the whole thing is, that's awesome, that's great, but without that added layer of filling up, bring it back here. Without that added layer, it's going to be more challenging to whip the attention, because that's what we're talking about now from a martial standpoint, is whipping your attention. I'm going to punch, and then I'm going to bring myself back to this core protection. I'm going to push. I'm going to bring myself back to this core protection. So when you're doing your push hands, you're bringing yourself back to the core protection constantly. You're exhaling, and when you're doing these the 2 push or 3 push moves, you still bring yourself not only into the back leg, but into this core experience. So I of course, I think I saw you doing it, Sam, just now. I'm saying this not for you, but for anyone who's watching, is that this moment when you're releasing the shoulder, notice that it still came back when Sam did it to his core. It still came back here. And so make sure that your visualization in this area is so, you repeat it so much that it becomes second nature, so that when you are doing these moves that we would do on whether you're doing a pop for boxing to create space and throw across, or you're moving someone to step and throw them, or whatever, or you're taking pressure and you're getting it off and you're coming back in, just remember that core visualization, because you want to have that lower dantian as the center of your visual focus at all times. And so everything else is built on top of that, including the pulley system and the rest of the visualization that you might push it in or out. So with that said, let's go right into some stretches. So inhaling, feet 2 fists apart together, 2 fists apart facing the same direction, and we're going to do our wonderful little stretching routine. 2 fists apart. So here are my 2 fists. I put my feet on either side of them. Inhaling, fingers reaching back, chest up, hips forward, weight toes. Exhale, butt back, fingers forward. Soften the knees. Inhaling out, fingers back, chest up, hips forward, weight on the toes. Exhale, butt back, fingers. Inhaling up, 1 foot forward, just like our push hand stance. Exhale, drop down, touch. Inhaling up, switch. Exhale down, touch. Inhaling up. We're going to switch. I'm just switching my angle so you can see 45 degrees now. Inhaling up, switch, 45 degrees. Inhaling up, switch, 90 degrees. Inhaling up, switch, 90 degrees. So even these stretches you want to do with that concept of whipping the breath, inhaling out, whipping it down, inhaling up into the belly. So as I step behind, the color visualization remains. Inhale in the belly, exhale from the belly down. Inhaling up, pelvis rotates on the femur with the color visualization flooding the belly. Step out. Inhaling deeper, exhale, wash down the legs, drop the head. If you find any tension in the neck, drop it out so the spine goes all the way through the base of the skull. Softening all the way down and inhaling up, breath pulls into the arms, pelvis rotates in the femur, so you have that pulley system lifting the wrists up, stepping out onto your toes. Exhale, wash that come down the leg. Inhaling up, kind of washing in through the arms as you inhale. Pelvis rotate on femur toes up or heels up. Exhale. Inhaling up onto your toes. Exhale down. Inhaling up over the head. Exhale down and slapping up. Out of that side. Inside and out of that side. Over the shoulders. Down the back. Inhaling up. 2 more. 1 more. Put the hands together and massage around. Tap it around and massage. Up and down on the sternum, 4 fingers, collarbone. For the hormones, chin and thumb underneath and squeeze. For sleep on the earlobes, there, up, over, down, under. Up on the face to the side, up to the side. Fingers to the scalp, front to back, back to front. Front to back, back to front. Massage. Back. Back to front, clapping. Top of the forehead, massage. And reverse. Temples and reverse. And the eyes and reverse. Heart. Switch. Sides. Top of the arm. Both the gums on the side and below. Tongue and reverse. Flick the fingers out. Thumbs. And 1, 2, 3, grab. 1, 2. Close the eyes, inhale, white light. Spread the whole body. Inhale, white light from the toes to the top of the head. Exhale, roll it down, head to heels. Down your back. Inhale up the left side, put to the top of the head. And then exhale, roll down the right side. Do your best to wash the bones, this color, the bone marrow, white light. Inhale from the belly. Exhale down the legs into the ground, come back up and around. Inhale from the belly. Exhale to the top of the head, with a big bubble of light around you. Have gratitude for the body, the space that you're in, the good people in your life. And thank you guys so much. Thank you, Sam, for training. I love doing this with you guys. I am contemplating putting more emphasis on my Tai Chi TikTok. I want my YouTube channel to be a resource that is easily searchable, which TikTok is not. But I reach more people faster on TikTok. So I will still continue to post videos on YouTube. But I also want more people to know of the value that we have going on here. And so I will be doing both. And again, and if you start seeing a shift in the content that I post, because I only have so much time in a day, if you start seeing a shift in the content I post to be more like TikTok, that might be a good thing. Because the learning on TikTok, the speed at which things are delivered is very fast. So I'm hoping to be able to bridge the gap between the slowing oneself down to speed up the perception and the speed of TikTok with some of my video content. Of course, a video like this is not edited. But thank you, Sam. Thank you, everyone who watches. janstaichi.com, @janstaichi everywhere. And you can find me on Patreon at patreon.com/janstaichi also. What do you know? So it's all Jans Tai Chi. If you want to support the channel, subscribe, send a comment. I love you guys. And thank you so much. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Even though it's an American holiday, everybody, the concept of being grateful And celebrating that on a day to me is, I'm grateful for you every day. So thank you so much. I love you guys. Have a great day. Love you, Sam. Thank you.